multi-country alliance against Tigray might jeopardize Ethiopia's future. Analysis by Plaut. The Tigray war has turned into an all-out conflict, pitting Tigrayan forces loyal to the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, against Ethiopian federal troops, the Eritrean army, Amhara militia, and as revealed last week, Somali soldiers. Despite what would seem to be overwhelming odds against them, the Tigrayans appear to be holding their own in large areas of the region. Both Eritrea and Somalia routinely deny any involvement in the war, but the evidence of their presence is strong. The Eritrea-Ethiopia-Somali Alliance. The alliance has its origins in the ending of hostilities between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Much of the groundwork for this rapprochement was done by the United States, with Donald Yamamoto playing a critical role behind the scenes, although Washington could hardly have envisaged where this would lead. On July 8 to 9, 2018, Prime Minister Abiy visited Asmara to seal peace between Eritrea and Ethiopia. In the same month, the ice between Eritrea and Somalia was broken, with a 3-day visit by Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed to Asmara. It was the first visit by a Somali president to Eritrea since it gained independence from Ethiopia in 1993. The two nations have not had diplomatic ties in nearly 15 years. Abdinur Mohammed, a spokesman for Somali president, said on Twitter that the country is ready to write a new chapter of its relations with Eritrea. Economic and security concerns are the top of the agenda, as well as regional issues of interest to both countries, Eritrea's information ministry said. There were further bilateral visits in August 2018 and April 2019. This culminated in a summit between the leaders of Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Somalia on January 27, 2020, held in Asmara. The communique committed the three leaders to consolidate peace, stability, and security, as well as promoting economic and social development. They also agreed to bolster their joint efforts to foster effective regional cooperation. There was no press conference at which the details of the agreement might be explained. The public was left in the dark about what the leaders were planning. Further meetings took place in the run-up to the outbreak of war in Tigray. Prime Minister Abiy made a rare visit to the Eritrea main training base at Sawa in July 2020. Somali President Farmajo arrived in Asmara on October 4th. President Isaias went to Ethiopia on October 14th to 15th. This trip included seeing Ethiopian Air Force Base at Bishoftu. Within 3 weeks, on November 4th, 2020, the Tigray War erupted. Is it credible that the war was not discussed and a strategy agreed between the three leaders at these meetings? War aims. The first priority of the alliance is to remove the Tigrayan administration from Tigray. President Isaias has long loathed the TPLF. This goes back to the 1970s and 80s, when the Eritreans and Tigrayans fell out over ideology, tactics, and strategy. Prime Minister Abiy also wants to rid himself of the vestige of power of the previous Ethiopian government, which the TPLF controlled. He is attempting to reverse their policy of ethnic federalism. Beyond this, outlines of a plan were revealed when information was leaked about a meeting held by President Isaias just prior to the outbreak of the war. According to reports citing well-placed sources, President Isaias brought together his closest confidants on the eve of the Tigray War. He said that Eritrea had to accept that it had a small economy and a lengthy Red Sea coast that it cannot patrol on its own. He suggested forming some sort of union with Ethiopia, at least in terms of economic cooperation and maritime security. If accurate, President Isaias appeared to have echoed Abiy's grandiose dream of reestablishing the old empire state of Ethiopia. This includes suggestions that the Ethiopian Navy could be reconstructed, a proposal supported by France. This would require the use of Eritrean ports, which were once home of the Imperial Ethiopian Navy. The idea of some form of union may not be as far-fetched as it would appear. The idea of some form of unity may not be as far-fetched as it would appear, despite the fact Isaias previously led Eritrea's decade-long war to gain independence from Ethiopia. It should not be forgotten that when President Isaias made his first visit to Addis Ababa in July 2018, he made what many Eritreans regarded as an extraordinary offer for a joint administration of both countries. This is a historic day for all of us, President Isaias Afwerki said. Anyone who thinks the people of Eritrea and Ethiopia are separated is considered as naive from now on. In a speech, Abiy said the countries had agreed to develop together and that Isaias had offered to help lead this great nation. He added that we have finally found our sister nation after many years of hiding. This vision of co-suzerainty, or a revised form of federation, appears to be behind the current conflict. Regional blocs. In September 2020, Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Somalia held their third trilateral meeting. They proposed to form a new regional bloc, which has been referred to as the Horn of Africa Cooperation. The flaw in this proposal was commented on at the same time. Creating an economic and political bloc may seem a solution to bring peace and boost trade, but it risks sparking distrust from other East African countries, and with the other regional body, IGAD, the International Authority on Development, which Eritrea has long distrusted. The Horn of Africa cooperation could be linked to the wider ambition of the Saudis to extend their influence in the Horn of Africa. The Council of the Arab and African states bordering the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden was launched in January 2020. This new Arab-African alliance has 8 members: Djibouti, Egypt, Eritrea, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Sudan, Jordan, and Yemen. Conclusion. These plans depend on succeeding to crush the Tigrayans. At the moment, this appears a distant prospect, despite Prime Minister Abiy's assertion in November that it was little more than a law enforcement operation that would soon be over. If the war goes badly and Eritrea, Somalia, and the rest of Ethiopia become sucked into the conflict could threaten the future of Ethiopia itself. This was the warning from senior African experts at the U.S. Institute of Peace. As members of the bipartisan senior study group on peace and security in the Red Sea arena, we are watching with grave concern the situation in Ethiopia. While many of the facts remain unclear, the risk of escalation are certain. Intrastate and interstate conflict would be catastrophic for Ethiopia's people and for the region, and would pose a direct threat to the international peace and security. The acceleration of polarization amid violent conflict would also mark the death knell for the country's nascent reform effort that began 2 years ago and the promise of democratic transition that it heralded. This analysis was written by Martin Plaut, a senior research fellow with the Institute of Commonwealth Studies, University of London, presented by Marhawi Tesfai and produced by Falama Entertainment.